Hey guys, it's Tom. I'm back here with a video that I had promised you guys. I've been talking a little bit recently about how I was going to do an updated video on my Spider-Man suit that I made. About 3 years ago, I made this Spider-Man suit and did a video that you can find on my channel. And I have made some improvements and upgrades and changed some things around over the years, and so I wanted to do this new video and kind of show those improvements and changes to you guys. So this is the suit. Like I said, made 3 years ago. I've worn it to a few different conventions since then. And so the backstory, if you haven't seen my first video on this suit, the story is that 3 years ago I was going to go to my first convention. I think it was 3 years ago, 3 or 4. And so I wanted to dress up for my first convention. And I wanted to be Spider-Man because Spider-Man is my hero. He's my absolute favorite. So I knew I wanted to go with Spider-Man. In thinking about it and in looking at costumes that are available to buy online and in stores, I felt pretty strongly that I wanted to make my own suit. And the reason why is because a lot of the store-bought suits just don't look very good to me. A lot of the time the details are just printed on there. It's kind of like a one-size-fits-all type thing, and they just kind of look cheap to me, unless you're forking out serious money for like a suit replica, something like that. And so I wanted to do this in part because I wanted to make it affordable and still make it look good. And the second reason is because Peter makes his own suits. That's one of the bits of charm I think about Spider-Man, is that many times throughout the years, Peter will be fighting a villain or doing some sort of, hero activity, as we maybe call it, and he gets bummed out that his suit gets ripped and messed up, because he knows he's gonna have to go home and fix it, or make himself a new suit, and it's like a pain for him, right? And so I really kind of wanted that experience of making my own suit, just like Peter does in the comics. So I made this. So a little bit about how I made it. I basically got 2 spandex bodysuits, one red, one blue, and I kept the blue suit pretty much all intact. I just cut the head off of it. And then the red suit, I put it on my body, and I took a pencil and very lightly went around while it was on my body. I went around and kind of looking in the mirror, kind of just drew the red parts of the suit on it so that I knew where to cut. Once I cut that, I hand stitched it together. I didn't have a sewing machine, and I don't know how to use a sewing machine. And so I just stitched it together by hand, and then I added things like soles to the feet, which I'll get into in a second, some pads on the fingers, for a little bit more friction, I guess, a little more like gripability. And then I added the lines and the decals and all that. So that's pretty much how I did it. It ended up costing me total, I think that it cost me, and I have to convert to pounds because this is when I was living in England. I think that it cost me about 80 pounds initially, maybe about $120, $130 roughly. It's hard for me to remember because, like I said, I have added things and I've spent more money on it over the years. But I think initially that's about how much it cost, and it initially took me about 100 hours to make it, give or take. And so this is it. I'll show you the feet as well. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's held up pretty well. The suit itself has held up pretty well, although every time I go to wear it for a convention or something where I know I'm going to be wearing it for an extended period of time, I always like to put it on before the event and just make sure that there's nothing like falling apart, and it usually does require a little bit of maintenance each time before I put it back on for a con. So that's a little bit of what went into it for making it. Some of the improvements, let's go over that. I added some new pads on the fingers, and So the first time what I did, they were like red pads there that I got from like a rubber gardening glove that I just got at like a Poundland, like a dollar store type thing. These, I went back to a dollar store, and this is when I was living in America. I went to the dollar store and just got like a cheap oven mitt, and then I cut some circles out of that. This is, like I said, it's just meant to be able to grip things better. When you've got these gloves on, it's kind of hard for you to feel things. And so with those, the idea was that it would help me to be able to pick things up a little bit better than having my fingertips in spandex. One of the problems with the suit that I haven't been able to really figure out yet is touch screens. So using my phone, which I don't have on me, but using my phone, I can't like use my thumb. I've had to hold it in my left hand and then use this bone in my wrist right there to like swipe and tap. That's the only way that I've ever been able to get to use my phone. I did compensate for that though. These hand parts are separate. So when I got the red suit, I cut the hand parts off. And then I've got buttons that I've stitched onto it. And so the hands could come off. And there have been times where I've had to take them off. So that's really good. The feet are not cut off. But what I did for the feet was... this looks so ridiculous. I added soles to them. And that is not a new thing. I added that originally. What I did for that was I went to Primark, which in the UK, that is, in my opinion, a very cheap store. I don't like Primark. But I went and I got like this pair of shoes for like £5 or something. And they're actually women's shoes because I needed them to be like really tight. So I got women's shoes that were a few sizes too small for me. And then I cut the soles out. I took like the inner sole, ripped it out, and then I cut the outside part of the shoe off so that I just had like an insole and the outer sole. And then I put the insole inside the costume, and then the sole, the outer sole, I just super glued it on. And that's one piece that I always have to make sure it's like secure because there's a lot of wear, obviously, with walking around with it. You just got to make sure that that is secure. But that's how I pulled off the feet, and that's been really good. It's given a lot of protection and just a lot more like comfort in wearing it because there actually is some support there. So the fingertips are an improvement. Another big improvement, this is probably one of my favorites. The logo here, the symbol, whatever you want to call it. So originally what it was I had just, when I added the lines to the suit, which I just did with a Sharpie, I just drew the spider on there. So what I ended up doing last year was I was going to Salt Lake Comic Con and I got, I don't know what you call it. I bought a photo op with Tom Holland. The spider, I wanted to make it better. I wanted to make it pop, right? So what I did was I got a piece of paper and I just drew what I wanted my version of the spider logo to be. And I drew it to scale, and then all I did was I got a piece of like black foam board, if that's what you want to call it, from like a craft store, and I cut out the paper design, and then I just took like a knife, I think like an X-Acto knife, and I just cut, I set it on the foam board and then just cut around it. And then I ended up super gluing that down, or I say super glue, it was like a hot glue gun. That's what I did. And that stayed on pretty well, actually. It's not flimsy or falling off or anything like that. So I've really liked having that because I just think, especially from like further back, it just really pops a lot more than the webs. So I really like that addition. The other thing, and this is probably the most important thing, is the back of the neck and the neck in general. So when I first made the suit, I was all ready to go. I was so excited I had finished the suit. And then the night before, I realized that I didn't think about how I was going to actually get it done up in the back. And so I was panicking and I was stressing and I was scrambling. I didn't have much time at all. And so, sorry, I just got to fix this. So I just threw something together that was kind of like a really, really rough Velcro system. The thing is, because this is 2 spandex suits and they needed to work as one, I had to cut the zipper out of the red suit, right? And so the blue suit has a zipper in it and it goes all the way up to the top. But if I wanted to make this red part work, I needed to make sure that there was some sort of flap going over to keep it all done up in the back. Because the thing is, when I cut the head off of the red suit, it was very droopy and floppy, and it wasn't form-fitting. And so I had to figure out a way to make that work. So I just Velcroed it together. I cut out some fabric from the red suit that I wasn't using, and like sewed it on, and it was almost like on a hinge with Velcro on one side. It wasn't very good. So last year, what I ended up doing was we figured out a way to get that. I always forget which side it's on. It's just kind of a nicer, straighter system, right? So there's still the Velcro there, and the zipper on the blue suit runs all the way up. And then we've just got that. I got it sewed on a lot better. I keep saying we because I consulted with my mother on this part. And so we came up with this idea, me and my mom together, and it just looks a lot better. And one thing that we did was we just made sure that we pulled the neck all the way up, because the thing is, this prevents what I call gap neck, which is you put your mask on, but then it doesn't cover all the way. The neck doesn't meet where the mask comes. And so oftentimes at Comic-Cons, what you'll see someone walking around dressed as Spider-Man, and they've got their skin showing right here on their neck because they didn't account for that. So basically what I ended up doing was we made sure that we pulled this up, and then we did the measurements and got that situation taken care of so that now it sits all the way up, and that's tight. I mean, I can still breathe. People ask me all the time when I'm wearing this, like if I can see in it, which I absolutely can. They ask me if it's uncomfortable, and it's really not. It's very comfortable to wear. And then people ask me how I go to the bathroom in it, and that's actually really hard because you have to take the whole thing off. So that's hard. But and then getting it back on by yourself is kind of hard too, to line that up. But if you get it right, and if you take your time putting the suit on, you make sure that it all sits properly on your body, and you get that back part lined up, I think it looks pretty good. The pinching on the red parts here, that's just something that, unless I wanted to redo the whole suit, I can't really fix that, because it comes from when I stitched it initially. The red wasn't put on the blue completely straight. And so what we did do, again, talking to my mom and seeing if she could give me some sewing advice, we ended up just undoing, like, I think down to about here, and then just kind of like reset the top part of the red. And so there is still a little bit of pull on there. If you go back and look at my original video, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. So there's that, and I think that those are pretty much all the improvements except for the mask, which I completely redid. In my previous video, my first one, it's a different mask, and I never liked that mask, but I did it. I didn't have time to redo it, basically. So I had that mask, and then a few years ago, I just completely redid the mask. So I still have this cheap thing that I got on eBay. You can see there, it's just like a plastic Jason mask. Plastic, not a problem. And then I just made sure that I cut it to the shape that I wanted around the edges. And then, yeah, I got a new mask. I just, again, went on the internet and got a plain red spandex mask. And then I made the eyes again, added the lines, and it's a lot better. So I'm going to put this on in a second. I wanted to tell you about the eyes, though. For the eyes, I just got a, I think it's called speaker mesh. It's just like a fabric that's got very small holes in it, as you can see there. Um, I, I, I think that I attached a layer of that inside the outline, this black part, which again is just like the same foam board that I used for this. And then I also added a second layer on the Jason mask, on the outside of the Jason mask. So there are two layers, and the idea was hopefully I could kind of cover up the eye holes of the actual Jason mask. So if you don't do that, you've got two very distinct black circles that just kind of like ruin the effect, right? So I'm gonna throw this on. The mask is really hard to make. I think it's hard to get it right. I got like a foam head from a craft store and I stuck the mask on it and I used that to kind of draw the lines on. But it's kind of hard, man, to get it exactly how you want it. So I'm gonna stick this on and hopefully my battery doesn't die before I get this done. So once you put it on, you do have to kind of mess with it. You just kind of have to feel around with it. And that's why, hopefully you can still hear me, but when I go to conventions, I don't really like taking the mask on and off because it's just kind of hard to get it to sit correctly, you know? It just kind of takes a minute. And so, I mean, of course, if I'm walking around at a convention and people want to take a picture with me, I will always take a picture with somebody and I always ask them if they want the mask on or off. And, then it's not a problem. But if it's just me walking around, I tend to do it kind of in like hour increments. Like, okay, I'll wear the mask right now for an hour. Then I'll take it off, get some air, walk around for a little while, maybe stick it back on. So there's that. And again, if you get it set on correctly, you shouldn't have any real problems with it reaching the body part, on the neck. So there's that. As far as like the practicality of the mask goes, I can see everything. I can see very well. Like, I could grab this doorknob right there. I can flip this light on and off. Easy. Captain America shield right there. Spider-Man picture right there. I mean, it's so easy to see. And so the only problem is that it tends to get kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of moist. The reason why is because there's no real ventilation, and so you're breathing, and it's just kind of making the mask warm, and the moisture from your breath kind of makes it wet. And after a while, admittedly, wearing the mask gets a little uncomfortable. So I tend to kind of prefer to wear it without the mask, but there it is. So altogether, I think that the suit looks really cool. There are a few different things that I would like to add. I'd like to figure out a way to add some web shooters, something to just kind of make it look like webs could be shot out of there. But it looks really cool. I mean, I can move any which way, which is really good for Comic-Cons because, like I said, you do get people who want to take pictures with you or want to photograph your suit. And, sometimes people, by the way, if you're at a convention and you want to take a picture of somebody, don't be demanding. Like, ask, right? Don't come up and make demands that they do certain things or pose a certain way. I've had some people who are very pushy, and they come up and I almost feel like I'm like doing a modeling gig or something like that, because I'm being told how to move every which way and being bossed around. And so that's not cool. Don't do that. But it is nice to know that my suit is not going to break if I move a certain way. I can move very freely. I can squat down. I can do all sorts of dynamic poses. I can jump off things with it. So, I can perch up on things. I mean, I've taken pictures and had people take pictures of me in the suit doing all sorts of stuff. So, for that reason, it's fine, and I really like that the suit is durable. But that said, I still do need to take care of it and give it maintenance and make sure that it is not going to fall apart on me. So there are some steps there. For the future, what I really want is to make a symbiote suit. I would love to make a black suit, and honestly, I would love to be able to meet Tom Holland at another convention and get a picture of him that way. In fact, I'll grab this real quick and show you. This is my picture of when I met him. It's not a very good picture, but what am I going to do? Throw it away? No, I love it. It was an amazing day. So we've got that. I would just love the chance to meet him again and get another picture maybe with a symbiote suit. So that is this suit. I love it. I will not make one for anybody else because it's a pain. I will not be commissioned to make one. It's just not... it's not worth the aggravation. There were so many times where I stuck that needle through my fingers, accidentally sewed, this part here to this part of the leg because it was wadded up a weird way. There was a lot of heartache that went into making this suit. And so I've had people in the past ask me if I would make one for them. No. It's not worth it. But I love my suit and I love wearing it. And so thank you for your interest. Thank you for watching. And I'll do one more little twirl for you there. Okay. Thanks, guys. I will see you later.